more you listen, the better you'll feel. 1440 AM is WMKM Reborn.
Good morning. This is Cynthia A. Johnson with StandUp Now. Thank you for tuning in to this show. I hope you find this half hour enjoyable and inspiring as we showcase regular people from the city of Detroit who are doing great things and really making a difference in our city, the city of Detroit. Good morning, family. This is Stand Up Now with Cynthia A. Johnson. And you're listening to us on the great gospel 1440 WMKM Reborn. We have so much to talk about this morning. We had an election, a presidential primary on this past Tuesday. And unfortunately, there were not enough ballots. I just had a brief conversation with April Bonner. She had no idea that I was running for, or I am running, I'm on the ballot for state representative. Encourage that young lady to work with me and not against me. In the meantime, we are going to have on air with us this morning the Wayne County Clerk, Cathy M. Garrett, and we will... Good morning.
Good morning, Cynthia. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm just happy for this opportunity to explain what the true story is.
All right. Okay. What went on? Because we heard that there were some cities in Wayne County, and it could have been outside of Wayne County as well, that there were not enough Democratic ballots.
Right. So, if I may, first of all, it was Redford. It was Redford Township that is the city of issue here. And maybe I'll just explain how the situation should go first of all.
Okay.
Because I just looked at that Fox 2 story online this morning, which was very misleading. At no time would the Redford poll precinct workers have contacted the Wayne County Clerk's office. The way the process happens is that the local clerk is the clerk that lets the printer know how many ballots are necessary for them to run their election.
The local clerk, when you say the local clerk, for local clerk being the city clerk.
Redford, because Redford is the municipality in question. That's what the story was about. So with each city, Redford, Inkster,
got you.
Of course, they have what is deemed their local clerk, their city clerk. So the way the process happens is that the local clerk, the Redford clerk, lets the printer know how many ballots they need, and it's a calculation that's done. But in this case, never, ever, if the story again was told right, or if it wasn't misleading that maybe the voters didn't understand, because there were provisions, there's always provisions in place where never, ever should a voter be turned away. This is what should have happened. First of all, this is where training comes into place. Whoever was the precinct captain or the precinct leader, you are to monitor the inventory of ballots throughout the day. Whereas if you see that there's a shortage or they're getting low, you contact the local clerk, in this case, which should have been the Redford clerk. At the point that Fox 2 called our office on Tuesday evening, immediately my office called the Redford clerk's office and spoke with the deputy, who was not aware that this was even an issue, which says the precinct worker they missed a major step. They didn't contact the Redford clerk to let them know that they were running low. With that being the case, there was still, through training, there were provisions in place. Number one, they could have used unused test ballots that are always in precincts, or, this is all by state law, or they could have copied unused ballots, let the voters vote, place those ballots in the auxiliary bin, and at that point, they would be hand counted. None of those steps were used, and all that pandemonium happened. And for me, it goes right back to you have to train who you put in charge at those precincts, whereas they follow protocol. That should have never happened, never, because of provisions and protocol being in place to avoid any situation like that happening. But it was not. I see on the news that he keeps saying they had to come to the Wayne County Clerk's office to get ballots. We don't have ballots. That's the local clerk's office. So sometimes the news can hype things up, have a little bit of information and distort it and get everything off track. But this is what the facts are. But again, I want to state that should have never happened. And I'm going to put it at the fact of either lack of training, not a strong person there, or they forgot. This is the protocol of what you do. You don't tell voters that they can come back or whatever. No, you already have provisions in place to accommodate that. Because already with that being on site, or if they had called the local clerk, the Redford clerk, she or he, which is the clerk, or the deputy is a she, they could have dispatched some extra ballots that they had, possibly AV ballots that had not been used, which were specific to that precinct. It was a number of things that are plain and simple protocol that obviously was not followed. And then just the frightening thing is that this was a primary with one issue, one thing on the ballot. So I'm so alert for so many reasons based on what, just things that I saw on primary day. And I'm very concerned because we have a big election coming in August as well as in November. And so you didn't ask me for all of that, but I'll shut up and let you ask me the questions. But that's the cut, dried, simple truth of what happened in Redford.
Knowing you don't even have to say that's the truth, because you are a woman of your word. You are a woman of integrity. And I don't say that often about many people. Now, if I find out differently, you know how I am.
Yeah, well, I'm the same way. That's all I have is truth. And the fact that if it had been my fault, guess what? I take my lumps and bumps and I stand up for what I did wrong if that was the case. But it's just we have too much to do to get sidetracked.
Yes.
It's like the news wants to sensationalize everything, whereas how about this? Just sit down and listen to what the process truly is, and then see where the situation fell between the cracks, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, it's just all this pandemonium, and it's too many things that we have to do. It's too many issues and problems out here for us to be sidetracked by.
Absolutely.
That never should have been an issue in the first place.
Absolutely. And speaking of sidetracking, people do a whole lot of things to split us up and to divide us, and all of this division for absolutely what reason? To me, it's demonic. Let me give the phone number out for the audience so that if they have questions, this is your time now to contact 313-871-6094 or 313-871-6095. This is your time right now to call in and ask questions if you have some concerns or if you have some solutions to concerns that you might have that perhaps the Wayne County Clerk did not consider. This is your time, 313-871-6094. Let me ask you another question. Wayne County Clerk, are you responsible for making sure that the ballots are bought and dispersed among the various localities? Do locals contact your office and say, hey, this is how many we need? How does that work?
when it is a state, county, or federal election, the county clerk office serves as the conduit, so to speak, between the printer and the local clerks. But the printer and the local clerk is who pretty much, because in short, the county pays for the ballot. So the county is saying it, and let's put it in simplistic terms like this. I'm saying, okay, I'm paying for whatever you want, so you just let them know what you need. So the printer uses the numbers as far as what the clerk provides, and based on what the registered voters in that precinct, the number of registered voters, and then there's all kind of different calculations in it. And I'm probably going deeper than I need to, because you asked me a simple question: is that if it's a state, county, or federal election, the county clerk's office is the conduit between the printer and the local clerk. But if it's a local election, that's that local clerk to the printer.
All right. I don't mind you going deeper, because when you go deeper, that makes us understand. That gives us a bird's eye view into you being very transparent. And I appreciate you for that.
Well, thank you.
Do you have a couple more minutes with us?
I do.
All right. We're going to take a break right now. We'll come back in about half a minute.
We all know that sometimes life happens, things that we least expect. And that's why Sparkle Builders Emergency Restoration is here to help. What is Sparkle Builders? I'm glad you asked.
You got 3 parts to your claim. Your money's for repairs, that's to the dwelling. You got monies for contents, which is your personal items. You got monies for ALE, which is additional living expenses for you to stay outside your home. So we make sure you get everything from your insurance company without being lowballed.
With over 40 years of experience, Sparkle Builders is a licensed emergency board-up and temporary repair specialist with complete insurance repairs and historical renovation specialist. So if you have a house fire, lightning strike, tree fall, basement flood, or anything with an insurance adjustment, call Dwayne Garner 24 hours a day, 313-921-2321.
When you have a disaster, you have a loss, whether it's storm damage, lightning, fire, contact your insurance company to report your claim. Then at the same time, contact Sparkle Builders. You want someone standing there with you as your advocate to keep the adjuster's estimate honest. That's what we do as a company.
All right. Now, I want you guys to remember Sparkle Builders. They are there for you. Don't be lowballed by the insurance company. Get all that you deserve. And we do have another caller. Good morning, caller. Your name?
Yes, I'm a caller, and my name is Llewellyn Mitchell.
Turn your radio down, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you. I did exactly what you told me to do.
I did what I asked you to do. Thank you so much, Mr. Mitchell. What's your question for the clerk?
Yes, for the clerk, I want to know, has she ever run into a question she couldn't answer?
Have I ever ran into one that I could not answer?
Yes.
If that ever, I'm sure in my life I have, but guess what, Mr. Mitchell? I say I don't know the answer.
That's what I'm saying. Well, what would you do if you did run into a question you couldn't answer?
That I would research it and go to someone that I felt knew it, or if I had
Well, you took too many steps right then. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Wait, Mr. Mitchell,
Yes,
what was that all about? I'm confused.
I just need to know. I just need to know something. That's all I need to know.
But, you know, we all there are all questions. I don't think any of us are perfect. I've run into many questions.
How old is the representative anyway?
Did you say how old is she?
Yes, how old is she?
How old?
She sounds very old, but she's young.
Oh, my gosh. Mr. Mitchell, you are really being...
I just asked an adequate question.
Mr. Mitchell, you know what? I appreciate your call, but really, honestly, you are being so disrespectful, I think, right now. It doesn't matter if she is 21 or 81. She is the Wayne County Clerk. She is a woman, I believe, of integrity. She has not shown us anything less than being an honorable woman. She came on this show at the very last minute. Trust me, truly at the very last minute. And she's answering and she's discussing with us what happened with regard to the ballots. And she's giving us the truth. And I'm just shocked by your questions. And so we're going to say thank you for your call. Whew.
Okay, help me with that one, Cynthia.
I don't know. I can't.
If you don't know the answer, none of us are all-knowing. If you think you know everything, then I'm kind of afraid of you.
That's right.
But that's the only recourse I would think. If it's something that you're not versed on, it's incumbent upon you to seek the information out so that you will be.
And the reason that I wanted you on the air, Wayne County Clerk Cathy M. Garrett, was so that you could clear the air because, like you said earlier, the major media, they came out pretty much blasting the Wayne County Clerk and putting the responsibility on the Wayne County Clerk. You've already answered the questions for us. The Wayne County, your office, pays for the ballots, and that's based on you leave it up to the local counties or the local municipalities because you don't know how many necessarily that they need.
Yeah, but this is the thing that I want to put emphasis on more than that. There never, ever should have been, there was no way that they should have ever, and there were so many provisions, plus a surplus of ballots were printed because of the forecast of what type of turnout that we would have statewide. So had the individual that was the precinct captain or whatever they might call them followed the protocol, monitored the inventory of the ballots, contacted the Redford clerk's office to say, we are running low.
Okay, so, and I hear you. So what I'm also hearing is that they had the necessary ballots, but then the question, what was the real goal for Redford Township, the people who were responsible for these ballots, making sure that the people get the ballots? I don't know if this is where you're going with this. I really don't think there were any hidden agendas or anything like that. What I simply believe happened here is that whoever was put in charge at that precinct to be the administrator, so to speak, of the precinct, if indeed, and again I have to put this, if indeed, because we don't know, the media could have skewed this. It could have been presented to the voters a different way. I don't think there were any hidden agendas. I simply feel that the ball was dropped with the precinct captain, precinct workers following what the set by the state protocol was for this type of scenario. Who's supposed to train the local clerks?
What happens is each city clerk, which is the local clerk, whether you're a township, a city, or whatever, that's their responsibility to train their poll workers or precinct workers, whichever they might call them. So it's left to the local clerks to train their workers, and again, it's based on the standards and the policies, the protocols, the laws, however you want to put it, that are set by the state. And all those provisions were already in place, and that's why this didn't have to happen, shouldn't happen. But I think it no hidden agendas. I just think that it fell between the cracks because it wasn't a strong person there doing what they should have been doing, assessing inventory and being a direct contact to the Redford clerk's office to let them know what was going on. And as I said from the beginning, the Redford clerk's office had not even been notified by their poll worker that the ballots were running low. We alerted them after Fox 2 called us. And the intent of the call was, hey, how come you guys didn't say something? Because, again, the printer was on standby where he had an excess inventory where they could have dispatched them. So everything was in place, and it just goes to the fact of lack of training or panicking. I don't know, but I don't think that there were any hidden agendas. I might be stretching out on a plank, but that's what I feel, that there wasn't any hidden agendas. It just, the training broke down.
Have you had conversation with the city clerk?
No, I have not. But you know what? And because on election night, I didn't leave work till 3:30. Okay, I knew that this had happened, but right away we knew, for the reasons that I just said to you, that's obviously what happened. The precinct worker didn't follow protocol. So it wasn't until I saw it was a big issue. As I said, I just looked at Fox 2 online this morning because it's an issue, but it wasn't like it was some conspiracy or whatever else. It's simply the person didn't follow the protocol.
That's not good enough, though, Clerk, for it just to be that they dropped the ball. That shouldn't, and I know you know this, that should never happen.
But this is the thing. The state is aware of it. I'm aware of it. And the fact that, okay, yesterday was about getting the behind the election cleaned up. Now, will the conversation happen? Yes, but still, that's that local clerk territory. I don't have any authority over him.
That's where I was at. That's where I was going.
I have no authority over him. So if there's going to be a hammer to come down, so to speak, then that would come from the state. I can't tell him what to do. I would think if it was me, I would put all necessary things in place that this should never happen again. So that's without saying, but I can't tell him what to do.
You can't tell him what to do, but the county pays for it.
Exactly. But that has nothing to do with how you run your office or what you do. First of all, there's guidelines out there that are set by the state where you already know that. But the fact, again, and I keep using this, I have no authority over any of these local clerks. I'm just the administrator. That's it, to give you what you need. You need pencils, you need whatever. That's it. The true authority and power over local clerks comes from the state. Ruth Johnson.
We thank you. I thank you. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience with regard to the primary that's coming up in August?
I would think, and I just know that it's important for each and every one of us, with our family, our neighbors, our friends, our co-workers or whatever, to stress the importance of voting. From what I saw on this past Tuesday, I think that it's going to be very important to stress don't get discouraged. We have to do better with these lines at the precincts and getting ready. But the main thing is just pack your patience, and that's so cliche-ish, but it's true. Pack your patience. Don't ever turn away from the right and the ability to vote. Just stay there until you get the job done and make your voice heard by voting. But going forward, Cynthia, you, I, and a whole bunch of us have to get together because we have to make sure that our election in August and in November it is a bigger turnout, and the fact that we just have to keep people encouraged, especially with now you can't straight party vote anymore. But I feel like I'm rushed and talking too much, but hopefully you will have me back and we can talk from this point going into the August primary.
You know it. You know it. Anytime, you are always welcomed to Stand Up Now with Cynthia A. Johnson on WMKM. I thank you. We thank you so much, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. I'm a phone call away.
All right. God bless.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There you have it. First from our Wayne County Clerk, Cathy M. Garrett. She does not have authority over the local clerks. Her job is to make sure they have what they report to her that they need. So it is not the Wayne County Clerk's fault what happened during the presidential primary this past Tuesday when there were not enough ballots in Redford Township. I wanted to have her on. I called her, and she is just a gracious woman, and she came on to share this information with you all, and I hope questions have been answered We have a caller. Good morning, caller. Your name, please.
Good morning, Diane.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
You have less than a minute.
Okay, my daughter lived in Redford, and yes, they did tell her to go back home and come back in 45 minutes.
Lord Jesus.
Yes, they did. Now, a lot of people had just got off from work. Some of them said they're not coming back.
Of course they wouldn't. Yeah, and you and all those who lived in Redford Township should write complaints. We have less than 30 seconds. I appreciate you for calling and letting us know that.
Okay,
thank you so much.
Quick question. Why did they have Democratic and Republicans,
That's a question that's got to wait for next Tuesday. I have the answer for you. It's crazy, but I agree with you. God bless you all. Thank you so much for listening to Stand Up Now with Cynthia A. Johnson. And you have been listening to us on the great, great Gospel 1440 WMKM Reborn. God bless.
We all know that sometimes life happens, things that we least expect. And that's why Sparkle Builders Emergency Restoration is here to help. What is Sparkle Builders? I'm glad you asked.
You got three parts to your claim. Your money's for repairs, that's to the dwelling. You got monies for contents, which is your personal items. You got monies for ALE, which is additional living expenses for you to stay outside your home. So we make sure you get everything from your insurance company without being lowballed.
With over 40 years of experience, Sparkle Builders is a licensed emergency board-up and temporary repair specialist with complete insurance repairs and historical renovation specialists. So if you have a house fire, lightning strike, tree fall, basement flood, or anything with an insurance adjustment, call Dwayne Garner 24 hours a day, 313-921-2321.
When you have a disaster, you have a loss, whether it's storm damage, lightning, fire, contact your insurance company to report your claim. Then at the same time, contact Sparkle Builders. You want someone standing there with you as your advocate to keep the adjuster's estimate honest. That's what we do as a company.
Because there were provisions. There's always provisions in place where never, ever should a voter be turned away. This is what should have happened. First of all, this is where training comes into place. Whoever was the precinct captain or the precinct leader, you are to monitor the inventory of ballots throughout the day. Whereas if you see that there's a shortage or they're getting low, you contact the local clerk. Pack your patience. Don't ever turn away from the right and the ability to vote. Just stay there until you get the job done and make your voice heard by voting.